Ever wonder what fake news is? Last week, headlines in CNN, Al Jazeera, and The Guardian said that Hamas now accepts a Palestinian state along the 1967 lines. The New York Times headline called this moderation. The intimation is that Hamas now accepts the state of Israel. Great news, right? Well, except for one small detail. This is a complete distortion of the truth. The new Hamas document says that Israel has no right to exist. It says every inch of our land belongs to the Palestinians. It says there is no acceptable solution other than to remove Israel. So why does Hamas say there's a consensus for a smaller Palestinian state now? In order to destroy Israel later. They want to use their state to destroy our state. Is moving from calling for genocide of all Jews to calling just for the annihilation of Israel, is that progress or moderation? Only if you have no standards whatsoever. It's bad enough that Hamas lies to the world. We don't also have to lie to ourselves. Hamas murders women and children. It's launched tens of thousands of missiles at our homes. It brainwashes Palestinian kids in suicide kindergarten camps. So where does this hateful document belong?
All right, peace of Christ to all. This is a short video about the Prime Minister video, Benjamin Netanyahu, regarding Hamas. So this is a document which Hamas announced, and CNN, they were praising how moderate Hamas became. And we know that CNN is nothing but as a station of scumbags, and they never say the truth. Look what he said in the beginning of the video.
Ever wonder what fake news is? Last week, headlines in CNN, Al Jazeera, and The Guardian said that Hamas now accepts a Palestinian state along the...
So Hamas is announced by the Guardian News and CNN that they are became moderate Muslims, and they are very nice and they are very cute. Now, I'm not going to make it short or I'll make it long. I will just make a few statements, and you heard what the Prime Minister of Israel he said. If we go to the Quran, you will see the Quran saying it clearly, because Hamas, they try to make it like we are not against the Jews, we are against Israel. We don't want to kill every Jew, we want to kill every Israeli, right? So the one who is CNN is praising, look what it says about the Jews. There's tons of verses, by the way, about the Jews. Let me show you. Sometimes the search engine. Quran says the most enemy to the Muslims is the one who called themselves Jews. Okay, this search engine is messed up. Let us make it more, yeah. The most enemies who hate you most is the one who called themselves Jews. It's not coming. I will open it directly. Maybe this is the best solution. Here we go. Yeah, it's it's the same word we type in the search engine, wasn't coming. Okay, chapter 5, verse number 82. The most who they are enemy to you. You see the Quran. Muhammad at that time, in that stage, he was trying to spread hate between the Christians and the Jews. So he said, strongest among men in enmity to the believers will be the one who they are called Jews and the pagans. So Hamas and all the Muslims, including the one they call it moderate and all this garbage, They believe in the Quran blindly, and the Quran says your first number one enemy is those who call themselves Jews. Then here Muhammad, he says, and those who more close to you is the one who called Nasara, not the Christians. Nasara, those are the same religion of Muhammad. Nasara, remember, Nasara for Muhammad is those who believe in Allah and believe that Jesus is a prophet, etc. So those are not the Christians. So the most enemies to the Jews is those who call themselves Muslims, and the most enemy to the Muslims is those who call themselves Jews. And that enmity will go forever. And Allah, he promised that he will target the Jews and the Christians, and he will spread hatred between them. Until the judgment day. Let us fix this. This website was down. Look like their site is not working good still. All right. In chapter 5, verse number 14, Allah says he will spread hate and enmity between all the Christians. So Allah, he hate the Christians for sure, and he is going to spread hate and enmity between them. And they are the enemies of the Jew, of the Muslims until judgment day, until we see, as we see in chapter 5, verse number 51. Oh, you believe, take not the Jews and the Christians for your friends and protectors. So the story between the Jews and the Muslims is not, it's not starting from Israel. Many stupid people think that what's happening because of Israel. If Israel does not exist, the Muslims will not hate the Jews and they will not kill the Jews. But this is the Quran in front of you. The Quran says clearly that your enemy is the Jews and the Christian. This is why you cannot take them as a friends. You cannot be a partner with them. You cannot take them as a protectors, which means no Muslim can accept a Christian or a Jewish government, which means Benjamin Netanyahu and the state of Israel have no right to exist. Only an Islamic state have the right to exist, even in America, not only in Israel. Then we go to the hadith and we will see Muhammad saying, Allah apostle said, the hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews, and the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, oh Muslims, there is a Jew behind me, kill him. So this is what their prophet taught them. And this is why it's very stupid and very naive of anyone to believe that you can sign a peace agreement with the Muslims. Not only if you are a Jew, it doesn't matter really. Muslims do not agree with peace, and Islam is an anti-peace religion. This is why Muhammad says, Aslim taslam, surrender and you will be safe. And this is why Muhammad, he threatened the Arab, either you convert to Islam or I'm going to kill you. As an example, you know, in the Quran, you will see what Muhammad he said to the Arab. Let us go directly. Here we go. In chapter 48, verse number 11, Muhammad he said, and the Arab, the desert Arab, or the Arab, the people of the desert, who lag behind, which means they will not join Islam and join the fight with Muhammad. They give an excuse and say we wouldn't have joined. You know, we don't want to follow you. You know, we are living in peace. We don't want this. And then he says to them, you know what? If you don't join us, those who don't want to join us, look what will happen to them. If you don't join us and join Islam in war, which means you join the Muslim army and you convert to Islam, we are going to kill you all. Say to the desert Arab who lag behind, you shall submit to fight against the people, you know. And here you will see the Muslim, they give false translation. They say you have to submit. Submit to what? What submit? This is about surrender. This is why if you go to different translator, you will see the word submit. disappear. Here is submit. We see another translator. We go to Biktal. In Biktal, you will see the word submit, disappear, became surrender. So Muhammad and the Muslims, they have a habit to do human genocide for anyone who don't agree with them. What is the Arab who don't agree with Muhammad and his religion? Forget about the Jews. What happened to the Arab who live in the Arabian Peninsula who don't agree with Muhammad? Don't tell me every Arab who want to join Islam. This is not true. All of us, we knew that when Muhammad he died, there was a war. It's called the War of Apostate. The War of Apostate, Hurubu Ridda, which means most of the Arab who joined Islam just joined because of fear. When Muhammad he died, they decided to leave Islam, and then the Muslims attacked them again. So the genocide Netanyahu was talking about is something the Muslims they practice not only against the Jews, they practice that against any minority around them. Go and see what happened in Egypt. Egypt used to be 100%. 4,000 Muslims only enter Egypt, and they made 4 million Coptic Christians flee for their life or convert to Islam or pay the jizya as a slave. That is Islam. So if you think you are going to be able to sign a peace agreement with the Muslims, you must be a very naive person. And the Quran says clearly that Muslims are not even allowed to go for peace. The Quran says, cry not for peace when you are the uppermost. Let's see. Chapter 74, verse number 35. Look what the Quran is saying. Be not weary and faint hatred, crying for peace when you should be the uppermost. For Allah is with you and will never put you in lose. So what the Quran is saying to them, you Muslims, you can sign for a peace agreement temporarily until you are the uppermost, but don't ever sign for peace when you are the uppermost. So if a Muslim they sign a peace agreement with Israel, like now Egypt signed peace agreement with Israel, but not because Egypt is convinced that they should sign a peace agreement with the Jews or even the Christians, but because they know that they are no match. If they go in war, they will lose. So this is temporarily peace agreement, have no, it doesn't even have the value of the ink in that paper, because the Quran say clearly, you cry not for peace when you are the uppermost. And this is exactly what Muhammad he did. In chapter 9 verse number 1, Muhammad this is the chapter, it's called Bara. It have another name, it's called the chapter of At-Tawbah, but the real name of this chapter is called Bara, because in chapter 9 verse number 1, Muhammad he said Bara, which means I wash my hands from all the agreements with the kuffar. Why? Because Muhammad now is strong. Muhammad now, as you see, chapter 9 verse number 1, Muhammad now is a powerful man, so he washed his hand from all the agreement he made with the pagans. The fact the Muslims are the pagans. So he washed his hand from all the agreement he signed with the pagans, because now he is strong and because now he can be the uppermost. So what Netanyahu is speaking of is absolutely true, but he should be more accurate. He said Hamas. Well, Mr. Netanyahu, you are wrong. All the Muslims have the same logic, and they have one religion, and they have one book.
Ever wonder what fake news is? Last week, headlines in CNN, Al Jazeera, and The Guardian said that Hamas now accepts a Palestinian state along the 1967 lines. The New York Times headline called this moderation. The intimation is that Hamas now accepts a state of Israel. Great news, right? Well, except for one small detail. This is a complete distortion of the truth. The new Hamas document says that Israel has no right to exist. It says every inch of our land belongs to the Palestinians. It says there is no acceptance.
So this is not Hamas. Every Muslim, he say that I am as an Arab who grew up in the Middle East. I say to you, Netanyahu, and all to the Jews, you are being very naive if you think this is what the Hamas they say. This is what the Saudi says. This is what the Kuwaiti said. This is what the Emirati says. This is what people in Afghanistan say. This is what every single Muslim in the world say. So don't fool yourself and say this is Hamas. There is nothing is called Hamas. Those are Muslims. With this, I want to say thank you for watching the video. I did my video late today. I know many of you, most of you are asleep. This is not many are watching. Share the video with your friends. You can download it and put it in your channel if you want. If you like to help us in what we do, hit the like, and we have a link for donation for those who care. This is a Christian Prince, and every day we expose the lies of the fake news and fake reporters who say nothing but a politically correct agenda. Thank you.